Lagos to New York, the African Wealth Bridge. This series explains why Lagos to New York may be one of the most important African wealth corridors of the next decade, and how serious diaspora investors should think about migration, trade, capital, logistics, and long-term opportunity. Why corridors create wealth and why this specific city-to-city bridge matters. Wow, I've never looked at migration, cities, and wealth this way before. Curiosity, revelation, strategic awakening. Why corridors create civilizations. Why Lagos matters. Why New York matters. Why this bridge is bigger than migration. Big cliffhanger into part 2. How the African diaspora can monetize brain drain. Turning brain drain into brain capital. That this is not just a social issue. This is an investment system. Emotional tension. Controversial truth, empowerment through strategy. The uncomfortable truth about African migration. Why brain drain is framed too narrowly. How diaspora value is actually created. The 5 monetization pathways, what Africa keeps missing. Cliffhanger into part 3, where the real money is. Trade, infrastructure and diaspora. Invicor's theme, how serious investors should actually position Arrow, part 1. Best option, why Lagos to New York could be Africa's most underrated wealth corridor. Strong alternatives, the Lagos to New York bridge. Nobody is talking about why Lagos and New York may shape Africa's next wealth wave. The African investment corridor hiding in plain sight. Why smart diaspora? Investors should watch Lagos to New York part 1. High retention plus premium documentary style. Where we decode diaspora wealth, African opportunity, and the system shaping the future of global black capital. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of Africa's biggest opportunities are not being lost because Africa lacks talent. And they are being lost because Africa has not yet fully learned how to structure global connectivity. The controversial, and that may be why some of the most valuable Africans in the world are producing the highest value output outside the continent. Question. So the real question is not, why are Africans leaving? The real question is, who is capturing the value once they leave? In this video, we're breaking down why Lagos to New York matters more than most people realize, and why this bridge could become one of the most important diaspora investment stories of the next decade. And as you watch, tell me this in the comments. Do you think Africa's greatest wealth opportunity is inside the continent or in the bridge between Africa and the diaspora? Throughout history, wealth has rarely gone only to places with resources. Wealth tends to concentrate around corridors, around roads, around connectivity. The world's most powerful economic centers did not rise only because they had land. They rose because they became bridges between production and consumption, between capital and labor, between ideas and execution, between movement and monetization. Singapore understood this. Dubai understood this. New York mastered it. And that is where Lagos becomes very interesting. Wealth follows connectivity, retention, transition. Because if wealth follows corridors, then the question becomes, could Lagos be sitting inside one of Africa's next major wealth bridges? Section 2, why Lagos matters. To understand why this corridor matters, you first have to understand Lagos properly. Lagos is not important because it is perfect. Lagos is important because it is active. It is dense, fast, commercial, aspirational, adaptive. Lagos represents something global investors often underestimate: African economic velocity. Lagos equals commercial intensity. It is one of the clearest examples of what happens when population, ambition, demand, and movement collide in one place. That doesn't automatically create prosperity, but it absolutely creates opportunity surfaces. Lagos is not just a city, it is a node, a gateway into Nigeria, West Africa, consumption distribution, urban expansion, industrial demand, retention line, And when a city like Lagos becomes connected to a global financial city, the implications become much bigger than local business. Section 3. Why New York matters. Now let's move to the other side of the bridge. Why New York? Because New York is not just a city in America. New York is a global operating system. New York equals global operating system. It is where capital gets structured, institutions make decisions, brands gain legitimacy, influence gets amplified, ambitious migrants plug into high-value systems that matters. Because wealth is not only about how hard people work, wealth is also about the quality of the system your talent is plugged into. Talent times system equals output, which means when Africans move into New York, they are not simply moving to a new address. They are often entering a more monetizable environment. Section 4. The real big idea. And this is where most people are thinking too small. They are still asking, what business can I start? When the more strategic question is, what corridor can I position myself inside? Don't just build a business position inside a corridor, because Lagos to New York is not just migration. It is potentially a trade corridor, a capital corridor, a talent corridor, a knowledge corridor, and an influence corridor. And once you understand that, you stop seeing this as random movement. You start seeing infrastructure. Part 1, ending plus cliffhanger. But here is where this gets even more serious. Because if Lagos to New York is really a wealth corridor, then the biggest question is no longer just where people are going. The real question becomes, how do you capture the value once they leave? That brings us to one of the most emotionally loaded issues in African economics, brain drain. Because what if brain drain is not just a loss story? What if, when structured properly, it can become one of the most monetizable African assets of the next decade? Part 2, monetizing the brain drain. If you're watching this before, Part 2 drops, subscribe now. Because in the next video, we're breaking down how diaspora movement becomes capital, leverage, and real economic strategy. How the African diaspora can monetize brain drain. Alternatives, brain drain is costing Africa billions, but it could also build wealth, the hidden money. Inside African brain drain, what Africa still doesn't understand about brain drain. Why brain drain could become brain capital. Part 2 structure. For decades, Africa has watched its best minds leave. Doctors, engineers, founders, analysts, nurses, researchers, builders. We called it brain drain. And for years, the story has mostly been told as loss. But what if that framing is incomplete? What if one of Africa's most painful migration stories is also one of its most understructured wealth opportunities? Brain drain, brain capital, recap, and splits bridge from part 1. In part 1, we explored why Lagos to New York may be more than a migration pathway. It may be a strategic economic bridge. But if that bridge is real, then the next question is obvious. Who is capturing the value? Section 1. The problem with how Africa thinks about brain drain. Let's be clear, brain drain does create real damage. Hospitals lose staff, universities lose talent, companies lose expertise, and governments lose capacity. That part is real. But the problem begins when that is the only way the story is told. Because if your brightest people are already moving into higher earning, better networked, more productive systems, then the strategic question is not only how do we stop movement, it is also how do we capture value from movement. Don't just study the loss, study the value leak. If you want more premium documentaries like this, subscribe and in the comments tell me this: what African city to global city investment bridge should we break down next? Lagos to London, Nairobi to Toronto, Accra to Atlanta, Johannesburg to Dubai.